In Matthew chapter 6, we're looking at the Lord's Prayer. And today we're just going to look briefly at one verse, which is easy. So one thing that I think that we do a lot in Scripture is we overcomplicate things. Sometimes it seems like the Bible is sometimes hard to understand, but just some basic knowledge of the background of things help a lot. That's why it's good to study the Bible. You can learn a lot with a little bit of study on the Bible. And a lot of times I look at things, it seems a lot more complicated than it really is. This is one of those times when translation and simplification come in, because we do have sometimes a difficulty translating from the Greek and the Hebrew into English or to any other language. Sometimes the words don't exactly match up. I learned this in my anthropology courses in college when I learned that the Eskimo language has 14 different words for snow. So because, of course, their environment where they live has a lot, it means a lot. When you have a lot of different kinds of snow and things, they describe it a lot different. In other words, instead of saying a light snow, a wet snow, a cold snow, a hard snow, freezing snow, or whatever, they have a particular word for that. We don't have those kinds of words in English language. We use descriptive terms like a light snow. Well, they have a word for light snow. They have a word for hard snow. So that just gives you an idea of how sometimes translations between languages don't exactly match up, and we have to put in some different things to try to make sense of it all. And that's where we're headed on this today. And just to recap, it says in Matthew 6, verse 19 through 13 is the prayer that the Lord taught us how to pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also forgiven our debtors. And then today, verse 13, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. So that's what we're looking at today, is Matthew chapter 6, verse 13. Now, before I started the video here today, we did read before this the story of the testing of Abraham by God. And some people say, well, God doesn't test us. That's incorrect. God does test us. And there's several times throughout Scripture where God has tested people. The reasons are many, which we'll look at. One whole book is written about a test of a person. You know what that book is? Job. The whole book of Job is about a test. The whole book is about testing Job's patience and his faith. And happy to report that Job came out with flying colors on that test in a big way. Now, here we have the testing of Abraham. Of course, it has a lot of different connotations and reasons and things we can learn from the test of Abraham in Genesis. First of all, it is the first time that we learn of the great sacrifice in such a specific way of Jesus being sacrificed on basically an altar of the cross. So there is your first clue into testing. As that God does test us from time to time to prove not only to ourselves, but also to God and our faith as to how we will make it through the tests in life. So here we have the first statement that says, lead us not into temptation. Now, this is why I prefaced it with saying sometimes translations don't exactly match up, and it's hard sometimes. Another word for that can be testing. Testing and temptation is interchangeable. Different translations say different things. And why does it say lead us not into this? A lot of times, sometimes it helps me figure out things by figuring out what the opposite would be. God, lead us into temptation. That's the opposite. Don't lead us into temptation.